Hi, my name is Laura Staley, and I am here to present this first Excel training video on my site. Now, before I plunge into it, let me ask you a question. What is Excel? Do you know what it is? Do you know what it creates? You may have heard, oh, Excel produces spreadsheets, and that is true. And so, what is a spreadsheet? A spreadsheet is basically a list of different types of data, numbers and text that you put in lists. And you can see an example here on my screen. It's just a simple little bit of data. And we're going to get into how to enter data into the next video. But I wanted to have something on the screen for you to look at. And so, like you can see, the data is in rows and numbers, rows and columns. And so that is the way you're going to set it up. So that's basically a spreadsheet. And the place where Excel and other electronic spreadsheets came from was back in the olden days. Spreadsheets used to be on paper, and that's how they laid them out, columns and rows. And so the electronic ones just repeat that. And it doesn't matter whether it's Excel or Google Sheets or something else like that that you use. In this case, we're going to go over Excel, but many of the things that I will cover in Excel will also translate to Google Sheets, and it will spread across multiple Excel versions. So whether you're using Excel 2016, Office 365, it doesn't matter. This basic information will translate across different versions of Excel. So let's plunge in. So what we're going to talk about this video is how to access the commands that you will use in Excel to make things happen. Because you can type things in all day long, but the real power in Excel comes from manipulating the data, showing it different ways, and producing different products, I'll call them, that you can give to other people to show the numbers and what they mean. So the area that we're going to cover this time is up here at the top of the screen. And there is this row, File, Home, Insert, Draw, so on and so forth. And this is called the ribbon. And when you click on one of these words, it will take you to that category of the ribbon. And then beneath it are the commands that fall into that category. So let me just go into this a little bit so that you'll have a background of where to find things once we start doing things. So the file, if I click on that, it will bring up this backstage area. That's what Microsoft calls it. I've never figured out why they call this the backstage area. But it is the area in which you can access a lot of the basic commands to manipulate your entire file. So you can open a new file. You can open an existing file that you've already created and saved. You can save a file. You can print a file. You can share a file and send it to other people for them to take a look at on their screens, so on and so forth. And as you click on each one of these, the display here is going to change and give you the options for that command. And so we'll cover some of these as we go through the different videos. Now, to get back to the normal screen, I click on this left arrow up here at the top of the column, and that will take me back to my spreadsheet. Now, the rest of them, this bottom area is going to stay static. It's going to be on your screen while the commands at the top change. So Home has many of the editing commands and formatting commands that you are going to use as you go through your file, and you can insert columns, delete columns, turn things bold, change the font, all those types of basic formatting commands to make your file work for you. The insert command category lets you put things into your file. So for example, you can insert a table, you can insert a chart, you can insert a pivot chart, you can insert a slicer. Now, a lot of these things you're going to be saying, say, what's that? Well, some of them we'll get into later, as we get more advanced, and others you will never use. And that is okay. The thing that I have found is that if someone uses a lot of Excel, they probably use about 40% of the commands available to them. And those are the advanced people. People who teach Excel and know everything about Excel under the sun might use 60 to 70% of the commands available in Excel. So set your expectations now that you're going to only use a fraction, probably, of what Excel offers, and that's going to be just fine. You'll be able to do what you want to do and get the job done. The next tab over is draw. I have never actually used this category in a work file, but it gives you access to various drawing commands that you can draw something in your Excel spreadsheet. Most of the time, if I want to put graphics in my spreadsheet, I insert a picture, I put a chart in, and I let Excel do the work for me. You may find a reason to use this, but I have yet to meet someone in one of my training classes who has used this category. Page layout, on the other hand, you're going to use quite a bit because it's where you go to set up your file so that it will display and print properly, especially for other people. Because when you share your data, you want other people not only to understand it, but to be able to use it. So you can fix the headings at the top of the screen of every screen so they'll know what the numbers mean, those types of things. You can change where the page breaks are so that you can have one section on each page. And we'll get into those things. Formulas gives you access to the hundreds of formulas in Excel, of which you may use a few, and there are easier ways to get to them. So you may not come to this category on the ribbon much, but you will use some of the functionality in other places. Data, the category here on the ribbon, is one I've actually used quite a bit. And the two main reasons are you can sort and you can filter. And again, there are other ways to get to these commands, but sorting and filtering are two of the main things you're going to want to do with your data so that you can help present it in a way that makes sense, both to yourself and other people. Review has editing type commands like inserting comments and showing comments and checking spelling and putting notes in and doing some protection of your file and those types of things. View lets you look at your screen different ways. There's one command I probably use regularly in this page, maybe two or three, and we'll cover them later. So that is basically the categories of the ribbon going across. Now, if I click back on home, let's use this as an example for the rest of the tabs, because there's a way that you can read this so that you can easily access the commands. If I go across to the right, you'll notice at the bottom there are words: clipboard, font, alignment, and so on and so forth as you go to the right. And what those represent are the groups that are on this tab. So on the tab home, there is a group for clipboard, there is a group for font, there is a group for alignment, a group for number, and so on. So in each of these groups, there are the most used commands, and Microsoft decides what those are, which ones to display in each of the groups. Now, I've had people say to me, Laura, this is great, but I'm looking for a command that's not here in the ribbon. I can't find it, and it's not there. I've looked. So that is when you need to use the dialog launcher. Now, if I come here to the font group, if you look here where font size, so on and so forth are, down here in the lower right-hand corner of that group is a little box that has a down arrow. You can't even see it probably because it's so small. But if I click on that, it will open up the dialog box. That's what Microsoft calls these boxes. That gives you access to all of the font commands in Excel. So for example, if I wanted to make some font superscript or subscript, this is where I would come to do that because it's not out there on the ribbon. So I would do that and click OK, and it would make my text superscript. And I don't know if you can see right there, it has just made that superscript. It makes no sense in my file, but you can sort of see how that works. Okay, so those are the tabs and the groups that you, and how to get to them as we go through the different videos and the different files and the different functionality that we're going to be covering. Now, before I finish up, I want to cover this section right up here on the top. This is called the Quick Access Toolbar. The Quick Access Toolbar. And what it is for is to give you quick access, go figure, to commands that you use all the time. So, because this Quick Access Toolbar will always be on the screen no matter where you are in Excel. So you can always access the commands. So if I click on the down arrow, and let's say I want to get rid of one because I don't use it that much, you will see all of the commands that I have checked are on the Quick Access Toolbar. And so if I click on Quick Print, which is one of the commands, it's now no longer here. So then I think, wait a minute, Quick Print, that's the one that I click on it and bam, my file prints just without having to go through the print and setting everything up. So I really should bring that back. So if I click on the down arrow, I can either click on it here because I'd already chosen it, but if it wasn't on this list, I could come down to more commands, and then on in this left-hand box, I can find the Quick Print command, click on it in this left box, click on the Add button in the middle, and now it is in the right-hand box, which means the right-hand box is what shows up on my Quick Access Toolbar. But I think, I don't want it to be last, so I'm going to click this up arrow down and to the right of it to put it after New File. So then I click OK. And now all is right with the world again because my Quick Print button is back on my Quick Access Toolbar. So the point of this is for you to think about it as we go through these Excel videos. And if you're annoyed because you always are having to go find a command, that might be one that you would want to put up here so that you can always access it. So that's it for this video. Thank you for sticking with me. I appreciate you watching this. Look below in the video. There will be a link to my blog post that will go through what I just covered